Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this financial results briefing video from Celsys Incorporate. My name is Chieko Mitsui, a finalist analyst, and I'll be your host today. In this video, we'll walk you through Celsys' competitive advantages, its recent financial performance and the key factors behind it, its medium-term growth strategy, and its approach to shareholder returns, all presented in a clear and accessible way to complement the official financial results materials for our shareholders and investors. Joining us today is Kei Narushima, President and CEO of Celsys Incorporate. President Narushima, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm Kei Narushima, President of Celsys. I look forward to our conversation today.
Let's dive right in and talk about the financial results for the fiscal year ending December 2025. Looking at the most recent numbers, I had the impression that both revenue and profit expanded quite significantly. How do you personally see these results?
Well, both revenue and profit came in above the prior fiscal year and also above our revised forecast. In a word, I'd say things are going smoothly, right on track.
Thank you, that's great to hear. It really was a strong set of results. What were the main factors driving that performance?
The biggest driver was our subscription revenue, which we've been putting a lot of focus on. It grew very steadily and now accounts for more than half of the company's total revenue. And that has really been the engine of our growth.
With subscriptions making up more than half of revenue, it sounds like we can count on a stable earnings base going forward. Is the churn rate also holding up well?
Yes, we publish our monthly churn rate, and it's been consistently very low, nice and stable. On top of that, we also continue to sell the one-time purchase version alongside our subscriptions, and demand for that actually exceeded our expectations, which turned out to be another meaningful contributor to revenue beating our plan.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, Celsys is well known for having a very high proportion of overseas users. You mentioned around 80% earlier. How have you been building that international presence? And what's your strategy going forward? How do you see it contributing to growth?
Yes, overseas strategy is something we're really putting a lot of energy into. Right now, about 16% of our total workforce, over 40 people, are global talent. And we've built a structure that lets us handle localization and marketing in-house quickly and flexibly. Beyond the stable growth we've seen in Europe, the US, Japan, and South Korea, we've been ramping up our marketing efforts in emerging markets, Thailand, Indonesia, Brazil, and Mexico for the past 2 years or so. The absolute numbers are still small, but the growth rates are very high, and we're seeing real results. We're hopeful that this will push the growth rate of our subscription revenue even higher than before.
So on top of the subscription business, which already accounts for over 50% of revenue and is growing steadily, there's the potential for that accelerating growth from emerging markets to layer on top. Is that right?
Exactly. And on top of that, we also want to support new payment methods used in different parts of the world. In Japan, for instance, a lot of customers pay at convenience stores. There are all kinds of regional payment preferences around the world, and we want to make sure we support them properly. Union Pay cards in China, for example, we'd definitely like to get those up and running.
I see. So payment friction can actually be a real barrier when someone's ready to sign up. And you're thinking carefully about removing those barriers as you expand globally.
That's right. By making it easier to purchase, we aim to bring in more users worldwide.
Let's move on to your medium-term growth strategy. If you had to pick the most important thing you'd want investors to focus on in your medium-term management plan, what would it be?
Well, the business is progressing smoothly, truly right in line with the plan. Things are going so well, in fact, that we now expect to achieve our final year target 1 year ahead of schedule. The plan runs through 2027, and we've set an operating profit target of 3.3 billion yen for that year. We're now on track to hit that in 2026, a full year early. And ultimately, we believe we'll significantly exceed that target when we reach 2027.
That's impressive. By the way, what does the revenue plan for 2026 look like?
Let me give you a bit of context from 2025 first. Going into 2025, we expected that as more users shifted to subscriptions, one-time purchase sales would decline. So we had built that decline into our plan. But after implementing price revisions and other measures, sales actually didn't decline at all. In fact, it became one of the factors that pushed revenue above plan. For 2026, we're continuing to put our primary focus on subscriptions while also leaving room in the plan for potential upside from the one-time purchase version, just like last year.
What areas are you most focused on as growth drivers going forward?
There are two main ones. First, continuing to grow the subscription business, and second, launching new services.
Could you tell us a bit more? Whatever you're able to share at this stage.
As I mentioned earlier, our vision is to support the entire creator journey, every step of a creator's path. Concretely, we're investing in services that would allow Clip Studio Paint users to generate income from their work or connect and communicate with other creators, things that go beyond the act of creation itself.
So the overall scope of the business expands with new services alongside the core product?
Exactly. Taking a long-term view, our goal is to monetize these new services and develop them into a second major revenue pillar, right alongside subscriptions.
Thank you. I'd love to ask about shareholder returns as well. Celsys has been actively focused on returns through dividends and share buybacks. How do you think about shareholder returns in the broader context of your strategy?
We're very committed to shareholder returns, both through dividends and share buybacks. I'm also pleased to say we've achieved ROE of 30% or more this year, which is a key target in our medium-term plan. We're also targeting inclusion in the revised topics index, which is scheduled for this year. So we're being mindful of our free float ratio as we position dividends as the primary vehicle for returns.
The dividend yield looks quite solid. Can we assume the company's financials make this a sustainable level going forward?
Yes. In 2025, we paid a regular dividend of 26 yen per share, plus a special commemorative dividend of 10 yen to mark our listing on the Prime Market, bringing the total to 36 yen. For 2026, we're planning a dividend of 38 yen, which actually exceeds the 2025 total of 36 yen, even including that commemorative portion.
So a dividend increase.
On the share buyback side, our treasury share ratio has been rising, and we're also looking at retiring treasury shares in proportion to our holdings going forward.
Some viewers may be drawn to Celsys by your Shareholder Benefits program. Could you tell us about that?
Of course, we do have a Shareholder Benefits program, and it allows shareholders to use Clip Studio Paint, our flagship product, completely free of charge for as long as they hold shares.
For users who love the app, that's a really fantastic benefit, isn't it?
And we have a lot of shareholders taking advantage of it.
For anyone watching who's curious about trying Clip Studio Paint, becoming a shareholder and accessing it through the benefits program might be a great option. And with the combined dividend and benefit yield topping 5%, for those who actively use the benefit, this is quite a high-yield stock. President Narushima, from your perspective, are there any particular areas you'd like investors to pay close attention to going forward?
In terms of our growth potential, following the pandemic, global demand for Japanese-style content, illustration, manga, animation has grown enormously. As that content continues to spread around the world, more and more people encounter it. And among those audiences, there will always be a segment who thinks, I want to try making something like this myself. We expect those people to become Clip Studio Paint users, and we believe our business will grow right alongside the global expansion of Japanese-style content.
Thank you. And finally, President Narushima, do you have a closing message for our shareholders and investors?
We will continue to grow this business steadily, enhance our corporate value, and do our very best to live up to the expectations of our investors. We truly appreciate your support, and we look forward to the journey ahead.
President Narushima, thank you so very much for your time today. And to everyone watching, thank you for staying with us all the way to the end.